So it's the early 1990s. And you all may remember, how many of you remember what it was like without cell phones? Okay, I'm not alone. Thank you. But it wasn't just not cell phones, it was not broadband. And companies were figuring out that there were these amazing ways for them to upgrade the video quality on your television sets. And I don't mean flat screens. And no, there was no Roku. This is a little traumatizing for my children, but I think some of you know this is true. And what happened? What happened with this amazing rollout of video technology? And why am I talking about the early 1990s when we're in 2024, y'all? You know why? Because the civil rights community actually stood up and said, wait. These business models are discriminating against us, because they are literally leapfrogging over communities of color in metropolitan areas to deliver these new video technologies. This is infrastructure. This is stuff you had to actually build and connect. And the civil rights community knew then it was a problem. And you had corporations that were getting some public money. It included public money to do this technology upgrade because, why? It was the forefront of broadband access. The forefront. And I can tell you, and so many other people in this room can tell you, it didn't just start there, but the business models were like, no. The businesses were like, we're not discriminating. We want to serve everybody. I just can't pay $100 a month. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to get to them. But our capital expenses are so high. We've got to serve these folks that can pay for it first. So fast forward, and I want to shout out Unidos and Janet Murguia, who couldn't be here today, but Unidos is, because when we were in the AI forum that Senator Schumer pulled together, you know, Janet was the one that said, we've been fighting for technologies to serve us for decades, including broadband. So I'm pointing to those early 1990s because we're in a world still where 32% of black adults, 25% of Hispanic adults, 16% of Asian adults don't have it. Broadband. Well, let's fast forward to AI, and you say, well, Maya, why did the Leadership Conference create a center for civil rights and technology? Y'all have been doing the work. Leadership Conference, some of the folks I just thanked, as long as the work. Because here's the thing. At the core of trying to advance a society, an America that lives up to its ideals, that ensures we all have and get what we need, is always the failure to recognize the least of us are also the skipped over, the ignored, the disinvested, and at the end of the day, the people who are constantly calling to recognize the problems before they become intractable. And here we stand in the forefront, and you heard KJ. Yeah, there's so many, I won't tell because Chanel will be mad at me if I tell that story about people lighting cars on fire that are self-driving. Sorry, Chanel, I just did that. I didn't mean to. Okay, sorry. But that's not that's a news item, right? But it's actually an example of something much deeper, which is that we have these frontier systems that are, one, making money off of us because it is our data. That is our data. When you hear frontier systems, hear you. Because what that represents is people and us, but not equitably, not fairly. And then we should ask the question, well, if everybody's making all this money off of these frontier systems, what happens to us? What happens to us? And the short answer is really complicated because, as KJ rightly noted, technology is neutral. It's the people who aren't. It's the way society has been set up that isn't. And so if we don't recognize that while we need to innovate for good, we need to innovate for equity, that is not going to happen naturally. It is not going to happen without us, the folks who've been left out, every single time there's technological advancement, whose needs, issues, and I do mean all of us. I do mean all of us, because one way or another it does affect us. And I will just give you, I will just give you Bill Gates. I will give you Bill Gates. Because you know what Bill Gates said in Davos? AI is going to make us so much more productive. And it will. We'll be able to do a lot more, a lot faster. But he also said we're going to deepen the wealth divide. We are going to deepen the wage divide. We are going to deepen our societal problems that are already with us and exacerbate them unless we figure out how to regulate AI for good, how to have the guardrails that ensure everything from 30% of black men do not actually lose their jobs, which is the current projection, 30%. Oh, and by the way, black women we're being told, it's Black History Month. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go there. Black women are being told, oh, but y'all fine. White women and white men are gonna lose jobs in much higher numbers. Do you know why? It's called job segregation. It's called being home health aides. It's called not having figured out how artificial intelligence married to robotics can take a low-paid job with no benefits that does not allow these women, largely women of color, not exclusively, to support themselves and their families. So in addition to all we know around algorithmic discrimination, and there's plenty to know there, also know that this is about what kind of future do we want? Do we think there should be no conversation about the world of work? Do we think that there should be no additional guardrails for our democracy that understands right now, this election year, we are going to see AI take the cheap fakes to the deep fakes. Our folks aren't even yet getting the important information about how to distinguish an audio, voicemail. You may have heard, New York City now, Eric Adams told he can't do his robocalls, but what he was doing, think how complicated this is. What he was doing is announcing programs, right? Programs he thought everyone in New York should know about, and using AI as audio to translate them to Mandarin, to translate to Spanish, to translate to Creole. I mean, creating more language access is a huge possible public benefit. The problem is, what we also know is folks can take the voice audio of people who are trusted and micro-target to tell them, go ahead, text your vote to 1234-VOTE. Go ahead, don't show up to the polling site because they've closed it. In other words, all the disinformation, and they can use that language translation to expand and target to the communities often facing the voter suppression. All of these things are not inevitable. They're decisions. And the whole point of the Center for Civil Rights and Technology is to be a place where we broaden our tent. The civil rights community. I want to thank Dr. Alondra Nelson, who has been advising us, and I see Spencer Overton here too, so many academic partners who are going to be partnering with us in the center, and technologists, because it is going to take a serious, difficult, confrontational in some instances, reckoning with what decisions are we willing to make as a society that says we all are valued. We all should get to be able to work jobs that value us. Because union rights, by the way, are civil rights. That everyone, we should not be deepening a wealth divide, we should be solving the wealth divide. Don't tell us you're going to solve cancer when we can't even see a doctor when we're sick. And definitely don't tell us that the technology is just going to end poverty when we have been promised years in, decades in, generations in, that a technology will solve our problem when all it does is build on the inequities, unless once and for all we say we're not going back to the 1990s, the 1890s, the 1790s. We're only going to look forward to a future that says AI serves us or we won't let it serve. Thank you.